Okay, so we're getting ready to start assembling the bottom end, but we need to clean out every oil galley. So these go through into the sump. And even though this block was washed at the machine shop, sometimes there's some dried crust. I know from down this hole, before we were recording, there's a big chunk of something at the bottom. Dried up oil goo or sludge or who the hell knows. And what's interesting, you can see these go down to the crankcase. Let's see if we can get a shot of that. See? There it is. And this is the oil feed to the cylinder head, right? Which goes to the distribution point in there. And then the other side has the same thing. Let's see, where is it? Here it is. And that'll go through there. And that feeds into the main oil galley. You can see it here. And I had cleaned that previously. That actually goes through to here. So I'd have a bigger brush that goes in there and cleans that. Goes through and cleans that. But you can also see here, right? So this oil galley feeds all the mains also. So we're going to go through this area too, into here, and clean all of those passages too to make sure there's nothing in there. You know, who knows? My nightmare of the cigarette butt continues. So we're gonna chase all of the head bolt threads using this chaser tap. This is different than a regular tap because it doesn't actually cut into the metal. It's meant to cut, so it's slightly undersized, right? And just for notes, an Audi V6 twin turbo engine, at least an early generation one, Audi S4B5, is an M11 by 1.5 thread. In case anybody wants to know that later. Just go in there and chase it. I put a little WD-40 in the hole so it's not dry. And just go in and just run it all the way to the bottom. And do this for every hole. And then when you're done, clean them out because there's going to be little fragments of rust in there. And once it's all clean, just put a tiny coating of light oil like WD-40. Okay, so we're going to install the oil squirters right now. And they go down there just like that. And there's the fasteners, a little bit of blue Loctite on them. So I Loctite everything. And this is what it looks like up close, right? And I always blow. Let's see if I can get this in focus. I always blow through that hole, all of those holes, to make sure there's no obstruction, you know. And anyways, we're going to torque those down to 10 Newton meters, and those are going to be our oil squirters. Okay, so we're going to do the mains now. And just an observation on this engine that I thought was super neat. Look how deep that oil galley is, right? And that galley feeds the head, this one. So the main galley, which is here, goes along here, right? And then feeds the mains. You can see the little bump right there. That's drilled into the main oil galley, right? And feeds the mains, and that's what supplies the crank. This you can see it goes to the other side. I don't know if you can see that, but my foot's passing by the bottom. That actually goes to the cylinder heads to supply the head on that side for oil. All right, let's put these guys in. So there's a tang right here. The tang is right there. And, you know, before I put this in, I want to point something out. You always check them to make sure there's no burrs. Touch that, make sure nothing's hanging over the edge. Do the same for the back. Always check everything. I mean, you never know what could have happened to this stuff that's going to create a big problem for you. And then repeat, and then we can lay the crankshaft in after we put some assembly lube. So the thrust bearings. It's kind of curious on this engine. So it goes on the fourth bearing cap, and this is the flywheel side of the engine. So I use a little bit of assembly lube because this side is not tanged. Put it on here, maybe a little more. That's going to hold in this bearing so we can put it in and then lower the crank into this. Okay, so there you go, and then we have our thrust bearings right here. And again, you always check them for any burrs, dirt, anything, even though it just came out of the package. And these openings here, this goes towards the block with the lettering, and the open side goes there. Just going to put those there, and they kind of float. But when we put the other ones in on the cap, they have locating pins, so that's going to be what keeps them from moving around. And I'll show you that in 2 seconds. So our mains, so this is the number 4 cap. So this slot right here lines up with, let me get this guy here, just like that. But that'll be for when we actually assemble everything, and you'll get I'll show you that once we get to it.